Most people in that situation would be shy and timid, but he went the other way completely. What kind of person walks in on their first day of work in a foreign country and starts abusing his colleagues? James Haskell, that's who. Remember, he'd just left Wasps, his childhood club, and this was the first time he played abroad. He'd taken a big risk by moving to Stad because most people thought it would put his England career in jeopardy. He'd just broken up with his first long-term missus. His life was pretty complicated. But he didn't seem to give a shit. And once his teammates got over the shock of his massive English bloke turning up every morning and slagging them all off, they learned to love him. He won their respect by training hard, being the most professional member of the team, and delivering in games. It was clear that he really wanted the club to do well. And they soon began to see past the brashness and realised that he was actually a really good lad. Soon, if Haas wasn't abusing them, they'd be disappointed. That was part of his charm. Thanks, lads. What a way to start this book off. Two of your best mates confirm what most people suspected, that I'm a bit of a dickhead. But to be fair, I dragged them into this. And as Jules said to Vincent in Pulp Fiction, if my answers frighten you, then you should cease asking scary questions. More on my time in France a bit later, but what readers need to know for now is that I've never really fitted in and always been a bit of a wrong-un, at least in some people's eyes. Back in school, I was never particularly popular. I divided opinion, was probably liked and disliked in equal measure. I know what you're thinking, Marmite. I should have that word chiselled into my headstone. Here lies James Marmite Haskell. They loved him or hated him. I describe myself as anti-cool, especially at Wellington College, which I joined when I was 13. I had good friends, but I was never one of those kids who was liked by everyone, from the geeks and the alternative kids to the jocks. Plenty of my current friends were those super cool kids liked by everyone, invited to all the parties. That was certainly not me. Now, I finally know my value and spend time with people who enjoy my company. But when you're at school, it doesn't work like that. You're thrown into the mix and it's sink or swim. I was outspoken, had a sharp tongue, which some people couldn't hack. If someone had a go at me, I never really had the self-restraint not to give it back, whether they were older or younger. That can make things a little difficult for you when you are young. Saying that, some people still can't hack it now. For most of my teenage years, there was nothing cool about me. I don't mean that in a let's be humble way. I was honestly like Carlton from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Until I was 15, my mum laid my clothes out for me to wear to places, and they were not cool clothes. They were jeans with pleats ironed in and jumpers that more often than not matched my younger brothers. If you saw me back in the day, you would have earmarked me as someone who was going to be a permanent virgin. My mum would also encourage me to comb my hair into a side parting so I looked like one of Bill Gates' mates. I had no concept of fashion. Many, including my wife Chloe, would argue that fashion is a concept I'm still to wrap my head round. I never read magazines or knew what cool was. The standard stuff that all kids had. Stussy tops, naff-naff jackets, the T-shirts that changed colour when they warmed up, and jeans that didn't make you look like a paedophile. I missed out on. I didn't even realise I was that uncool. I just had very little self-awareness. When I needed new shoes, for example, I was whisked straight off to Clark's to get the most basic shoes known to man. The only highlight of the trip being you got to put your foot in that electric measuring device, which was definitely the best part about the trip, as the shoes looked correctional at best. Sadly, after about age 10, my feet were too big for the machine, so I had them manually measured by some old harridan who hated me. My shoe game was rubbish, but made even worse by me having clown feet at an early age. If I did spot someone wearing cool shoes, I'd say to my mum, "Can I have them? Please, please, mum." And she would say, "No, you're getting these Dunlop trainers instead. It's what the school recommends." So for most of my life, all I rocked with was a pair of green flashes. The irony is that they are now actually cool to wear and I'm wearing what's not cool. I wasn't into music, like most teenagers. I certainly didn't buy the NME, listen to the latest indie bands or go to gigs. I was, to use an old-fashioned phrase, a bit of a square. When I first arrived at Wellington, I tried smoking and drinking with the cool kids, but I knocked all that on the head when I started taking rugby seriously. Wellington traditionally had a reputation as a top rugby school, but back then the new headmaster was what you might call a progressive, in that he thought the school needed to step away from its old ways and become a much more academic force rather than a place for meathead rugby players. Instead of keeping what was good about the school, he decided that focusing on athletic pursuits was a bit vulgar, so he would underplay that side of things while overplaying everything else. He was constantly trying to deflect from sport to more niche pursuits, presumably to be more inclusive and not upset the Dungeons and Dragons players and the origamists.